Welcome to Game Time today, a sit down. Another one of these sit downs. I hope you enjoyed our sit down last week with Emma and Tessa Stewart. So tonight or today, I should watching it today, because I am going to play this at some point later in the week live. But I like pre-recording things now. Spoiler alert. Those of you getting at me with comments during the video, I don't see them because, spoiler alert, the video is not live. These are pre-recorded, so I watch them just like you do. My guest today, Rylyn Loeppky of the Northern Stars, goaltender, former also goaltender for the Winnipeg Ice U18 program. We'll touch on that. So, Rylyn, how's your summer been? It's been a long time since I've seen you on the ice. I think it was late March, I think your season ended. I know it was April because I think you guys played in the bronze medal game.
We did.
So it was early April. How's your summer been?
It's been good. I've definitely been not working on my legs for this upcoming season. Let's call it recuperation. Yeah.
You know what? Listen, I wouldn't blame anybody, you or anybody, for wanting to do that. Given the grind that we put the teams through unexpectedly toward the end of last year, with the regular season and the playoffs coming in such quick order, there was a lot of games, back to back, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, those kind of things. Something that a lot of MWJHL players, even if you've been in the league, aren't used to. Something particularly, but quite honestly, not a lot of AAA players are used to either. I know you have your 3 and 3s, your 4 games in 6 nights, but it's all fine and dandy. I think everybody was a lot happier than the year before. So that was kind of good. Right with me back. You played for the Winnipeg Ice. I saw you there. That was when I first got to see you play hockey. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try that one. It's my internet's a little bit sporadic. That's better. I'm getting the indicator now, a signal strength indicator, which helps me out. No, I first saw you when you were with the Winnipeg Ice U18 program. 2 years, I think it was, for you there. The full year plus the shortened year. What was that like for you? And was AAA something you wanted to do?
Yeah. So it was a really good experience. Playing AAA definitely helped me with my game a lot. Just the what's the word? I'm sorry. I just got off of work. My brain is just like not working
Yes.
right now.
I
But
did.
just the level of play was really, really good. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
What were your expectations in AAA? Like, if you would have told yourself in your first year, I'm ready to play my first game, ready to play my first season, did you have any expectations on yourself or end goals of where you wanted to be?
my goal for the entirety of sort of my AAA career, my goalie career was just try my best, make it as best as I could. Um, I started playing goalie a bit late. I started at age 12 instead of sort of 8 where most people start. So I really did have to work to get my way up. So a lot of like what my parents told me, what my goalie coaches told me was just go out there, play your game, just sort of try your hardest, and eventually hard work might pay off. So
So tell me about AAA. I mean, you said you started later. Um, was that a barrier to you getting to where you wanted to go? Because I know I talked to a lot of goalies, talked to a lot of players, and they seem to start earlier. Or did the game just kind of catch on to you as being a goalie pretty quickly?
um I ended up enjoying the game playing as a player, but I always sort of wanted to be a goalie. So when like my parents eventually just said okay when I refused to try during tryouts and made A2 for my third year in a row. Um, but they eventually said, okay, go for it. Like if you're gonna play the most expensive position on the ice, may as well just go for it. And I know they said that like I was sort of made to be a goalie. I was they just they said that my game just sort of went up. I looked like I was enjoying it more. I looked like I was meant to be there. Coaches from the outside may not agree, but you know what? That's not really.
Tell me about some of the challenges, right? Because I mean, you take that on late, and I can't even imagine. Like I talked to a lot of parents throughout the year in broadcasting the games. You know, being around the rink. I don't know. You have to be a different, and I'm trying to find the right word for it. There's player parents, and then as the word that I've often seen used is the goalie parents are a different breed. Um, just with the different expectations and pressures. How did that go over, particularly with your parents? And I can't imagine that. I'm sure they embraced you playing goal, but I'm sure it was a whole new level of this is the way it's gonna be kind of idea.
Well, they didn't particularly mind. It was one of those things where they've never played goalie before, so they didn't know what to
Right,
expect. So they weren't super like crazy goalie parents or whatever. They were just
right.
more stressed. Like they would see like breakaway come down on me. They would freak out because they're like, "Oh boy, she's probably not going to stop that," and that's why they would freak out. But they weren't like super on the
No,
nose.
yeah, no, no. I've seen it both ways. That's why I asked the question. Um,
Huh.
I don't know. It's maybe a weird question. It's maybe a straightforward question. Take it for what you will. Is there an adrenaline rush when there's the puck flying towards you, or what's the fascination with being a goalie?
Uh, I don't know. Like it's just sort of always called to me. I've always thought it was like just super cool. I've I'm not the most social person, so sort of like the you're on like you're part of a team, but you're still sort of on your own kind of drew me in. Obviously that has its own setbacks, but like I don't know, as I've grown up, definitely the sort of the scrambles around the net, the shots from the point where you can't see anything, that definitely gets the adrenaline rush. That's always a lot of fun. I'm sure you can probably hear me yell something after it clears the end and nothing went in. I am very vocal about that sometimes, but
I don't know. We've never had you mic'd up. Our mics aren't sensitive to what happens on the ice.
oh,
Probably a good thing at times.
probably.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, you're in the unique position because your last year of U18 was the shortened season for COVID-19.
Mhm.
What do you remember about that? Because the MFHL was one of the rare leagues that actually started their season. I think the MWJHL was gonna start the weekend of Code Red. You guys had played already. I think it was 2 or 3 or 4 games already. What was that like in kind of the unknown bits COVID?
Um It was definitely a challenge to get back on the ice after it had been just sort of that long stretch of time. Um, like getting back on the ice, getting your whole exercise and stamina back up there. The masks did not really help with that. Um, but it was nice to step out back onto the ice, even if it was cut short, just to get sort of that little taste in there.
Yeah, because if you bat it Bitwat even more, you were part of that team that had the finals washed out, going back, and that would have been an
Mhm.
epic final between the Arrows and the Ice. Still a little bitter, but I didn't get to call it, but I did the game 5 between, Yellowhead and the Ice there in the semifinal. I'll ask you about that in just a little bit, because it seemed like from a distance you guys treated that as your championship, knowing what was possibly coming. But how did that kind of prepare you for the MWJHL?
The the finals getting canceled,
No,
sorry?
I did
Or
the whole U18
the whole
experience as a whole. Um, because you have a very unique story of how you got into the MWJHL, but and then we'll kind of talk through that. But how did that, the whole U18 experience kind of prepare you for that?
well, it was it was more of a fact, like, I had always gone into it I put a lot of pressure on myself as a goaltender, as during U18, I felt a lot of pressure. So, going into, like, the junior league, I went in thinking, "Okay, I have to be better than I was at U18." So, stepping onto tryouts, going there, I felt completely like, I have to be better than I have ever been ever before. And then as soon as I got on a team and we started practicing, I started realizing that, like, I didn't have to be I was adding extra pressure onto myself for no reason. I was stressing myself out. So it was good to have that extra U18 experience just to sort of have my legs going, I know how fast some of these girls can shoot. I know how fast some of these girls can skate. Like, I still have to have that U18 8 like AAA mentality, but I can still sort of not be as stressed and still play my game.
Yeah, and that's interesting you mention that because I think a lot of people put unnecessary pressure on themselves. They want to put their best foot forward, but they honestly forget the most important part of everything, and that's have fun. If you don't have fun, chances are you're not having a lot of success. Um, how do you feel that? Like, because I think a lot of people put so athletes in particular, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to be on, for lack of a better word, all the time. But if you're not having fun doing it, I think a central part of what makes athletics what it is forgotten about.
Yeah.
Quick, quickly, what was your obviously you did onto that Northern Stars team where you currently are. Um, what was that like? Do you remember? I mean, obviously you don't have to give me all the details, right? From day one to where you are now. But do you remember that first time stepping in the dressing room, um, with presumably not really knowing a lot of players, um, and what that was like, and then getting into your first game, and you had a fair amount of success very early on in those first couple games. I think you were something like 4-1 in your first 5 games, or 3-1. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but what was it like to join that team and then to be playing games and having success early on?
Um, it was good. I Obviously, when you start a new team, you don't really know what to expect. Um, but I was pleasantly surprised at how many people I did actually know walking into the dressing room. So even if I hadn't played with them before, I'd played against them or I'd seen them play. So it was good to sort of see, like, I knew a few people, I know how they play. I sort of knew who was going to be in front of me. Um, and a couple of them knew sort of I was there. So it was good to sort of have that little understanding between people right off the get-go. So
Yeah, because that was a fairly young team this year. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, some young defensemen, yourself. I know Isabel was on the team before COVID shut everything down. But, a relatively young team, but looks like they have a bright future, assuming you guys can stick together. There is a couple of things I want to talk to you about. Obviously, Emily Daniels, former Winnipeg Admiral. You're probably familiar with her coming in. The other one is Lee Baker, another Admiral. You have Kate Stewart, who I think was one of your teammates. So did you guys all have this U18? We know who each other are. We played together somewhat. We played against each other more. What was that like?
um yeah, going into it, it was sort of like I know for like me, I didn't know very many people like during U18. So for
Yeah.
me, it was sort of a I know I played against you, and like there were a couple of people who are like I know how you play. I've played with you before, but it's just one of those things where even though we had played on different teams before, we just needed to sort of get a couple practices in, and then lock and sort of we're playing together now. It's not a competition anymore. So
Yeah, and I really sense that you guys could take that to heart. I mean, just to kind of recap your season a little bit. You guys finished, I think it was in the middle of the pack. I think it was the number 4 team. You played the Silver Tips in the first round. 3 very tight games. You guys pull out a game 3 victory. All of those games were 1-goal games. How intense were the playoffs? Because I mean, I've been in the league 10 years. To be my 11th year. Hopefully, I can't recall, um, a playoffs in my time in the league being that uh, competitive. How particularly was that series before we get into what I don't think is fair to quantify as a 3-game sweep to the eventual champions? How close was that series with the Tips?
it was very close. It was one of those things where I would go back into the dressing room every single period and go, okay, just focus on these next 20 minutes. Nothing can get past. Like, just, I really had to break it up. Just sort of like, if I looked long term, it was over. So I felt like it was a really close series.
So tell me about the Prairie Blaze. I mean, that's the closest to being a sweep. It was a sweep on paper, but the game within the game. You had the double overtime game where they pull one out. You had another late one. Game 3, I think part of it is you guys ran out of gas. Uh, how would you assess your team against what we now know as the defending and league and provincial champions?
I thought my team did really well. Obviously, it was a long playoff for everybody. We had gone straight from regular season straight into playoffs. It was just sort of one of those things where that one practice a week really catches up to you. Um, so yeah, but overall, I thought the girls did really well.
What did you learn about your team? Because like to me, I granted we're sitting here in early July, but to me, based on what we're seeing, and if all things being equal and everybody comes back, there's no reason why I can't see you guys competing for a league championship um, this year. Does that prospect of that excite you? Because you guys have such a young core in my mind, but to be so good in the next couple of years. Assuming you guys can all stay together, does that excite you too as a goaltender, knowing last year was kind of the building block, or to use the Blue Jay term, last year was the trailer and now it's the movie. Does that excite you at all?
Yeah, definitely. Every single step of the way, just sort of getting better, getting just sort of working on yourself, stuff like that. It's definitely exciting. Thinking that all of that hard work can pay off for a medal. It's good. We're definitely going to be
So,
missing some key players next year, but yeah.
but you know what? That's everybody, right? The Blaze, the champs losing a whole bunch. Preds losing a couple. The only thing I do kind of, and again, this is after the fact with the season coming to an end. Uh, that overtime goal Chelsea didn't got in the bronze medal game. Oh man, that's a goal scorer's goal. Are you
I
still?
I
The
wanted to
only thing
cry.
I'll ask about that, are you still seeing that in your nightmares?
Yeah, I think that was by far the worst moment of my hockey career. That it is it shocks me to my core every single time. Every
But
time I think about it.
but in fairness, I think it motivates you going forward, does it not?
Oh yeah, definitely. If that ever happened again, I would simply quit.
So so tell me, what have you been up to these days? And I mean, obviously, as you said before, you're not really on the ice or training for the season, which is cool. But what are you doing nowadays? Like, if I was to uh, put a survey out or come find you somewhere, where would I find Rylyn Loeppky in the summer doing what she loves to do?
Uh I'm I'm working a summer job right now, just trying to get, as shallow as it sounds, trying to get money just so for university next year, stuff like that. So,
So what are you studying?
I'm going into science. So, I'm going to do a biology degree and then eventually I'm going to go into marine biology, move out to the coast.
Both of which are topics, unfortunately, that are in over my head. I'm not the sciencey type of person, um, but no, credit to you, and that's obviously something that you like to do. So you know, best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Finally, here, just to wrap up quickly, um, what are you? What are you taking into this next season for you as a player? I mean, obviously, your plan right now is to continue to play. Um, have you thought much about this coming year and what that would look like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I'm probably driving this point into into the ground, but just playing my game. One of one of the things I tried to strive to do last season was just make everybody have as much fun as I'm having out there. So whether it's make like cracking jokes with my team, cracking jokes with the refs, sort of like just talking to everybody. It's just one of those things where I want to play a game and just have fun doing it. So
Quick side story for those that don't know. I think you know where I'm going with this. I would hope. So during the season, I go to do whatever during the intermission, and I come back and I'm walking up to my broadcast perch. You are the one player, and I don't mean to call anybody else out in this whole league, that'll come say hi in the middle of the game, being a goalie. Because as a broadcaster growing up, you're always told leave the goalies alone. They're a different breed. If they want to talk, they'll talk. I find it commendable, but you always find some reason to say hi, even though you're probably just waiting for that gate to open and the Zamboni to leave. Um, so that's something that I find pretty cool about you. Just wanted everybody to know that because it's not often that people talk during intermissions and in game and stuff like that. So I just thought I'd mention that because that's a cool thing that not a lot of people know. I can almost always get a few words out of you, second before stepping on the ice. So that's pretty interesting. Um, I've always, in my experience, had players kind of check out or I was zoned in on the period. So I just want to let you know how much as a broadcaster I appreciate that. Even though it's probably a whole lot of nothing that we talked about. Quite honestly, I don't remember any of it because I'm so locked into the net spirit. It's probably just high or something. But no, I just wanted to let you know I appreciate that, and I'm excited to watch you play this year again.
Yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming year too.
And so we'll catch up with you as the season goes on. Thank you very much for taking the time here.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you for having me.
you're welcome. We take almost a half an hour. Yeah, almost a half an hour, which is my goal. That's quite nice. We will see you on the ice, if not for the preseason skates, sometime in the second week of September, and dropping the pot right now in the first. So I'm just looking at my phone here as we're talking. Sometime in the first week of October, it looks like. A little bit later start this year, but fancy Dan Rylyn. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll just sign out here. If you want to leave the comments in the chat, we can do that uh, as well. For Michael Dell, Rylyn Loeppky, sorry. For Rylyn Loeppky, I'm Michael Dell saying thank you very much. Have yourself a great day, and we'll chat. Whoops. We'll chat later on. I have another sit down coming with Veronica Schmarz of the Interlate Lightning. So watch for that one to come up in the next couple days. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll chat all again soon here on GameTime.